if we talk about, we all say that let's plant a tree. But as we all talk about the children, so far I believe that when we talk about to plant a tree, it's not a plant, we are going to plant a tree. Of course, we plant a small plant, and then we have to nurture it. Same goes with the children, that the child born, and then the all process is, on and on. So that, I think, to plant a tree or plant a plant is not something which is important. The most important to take care of those plants, to have that responsibility to look after those plants, because now every single plant, of course, before that as well, if we go to on the religious impact as well, of course, Prophet, peace be upon him, it's been a saying, a very strong saying, that when people go for jihad, he always mentioned that not to cut the trees. So just important, the importance of that is very much important. I'm really grateful to Mr. Vani that he said that he's going to engage all the children, all the aspects of the society, even the madaris and all that. Of course, we need to engage with everyone. As you have mentioned about Mr. Jason, about the children, women, and of course, the nourishment of the children and nutrition value, which is very important. And I think in that, the work which you people are doing, that is really remarkable. When you mentioned about the things which you are doing about along with the BISP for the people over here and giving back to the society, that is, of course, which is very important component. And everyone have their individual responsibility as well, because it's very right that we always said that what's our right. But I believe before right, we have to look what our responsibilities are as well. So I think today's this event which we are talking about, the green and clean, of course, as Madam Aisha has mentioned, that how Pakistan has taken that initiative. That time I was the parliamentary secretary of this ministry, and I'm really glad that time which initiative the ex-Prime Minister Mia Muhammad Nawaz Sharif Saab has taken that lead, and the Honorable late Mr. Mushahidullah, who was the minister that time, that initiative, how beautifully it's grown, and now the other countries are taking an example and they are doing it. So I think that can something which everyone can learn from the best practices. As much as I'm very much thankful to the Swiss government as well, and Embassy, the initiatives and the work you are doing along, because of course this is something I always believe when we talk about the climate change challenges, when we talk about the climate change disasters and the vulnerabilities, I always say that we need to come up for the joint efforts, for the collaborations, by learning from each other best practices. That can be the more important and great thing. That the green code, building codes, which Mr. Randhawa has already mentioned, of course from the Ministry of the Climate Change we are also working on that, and public-private partnership, of course that is something which is very important. Green taxonomy, when we talk about the reuse of the water, when we talk about these all elements are of course very important, and that can only be we can get a success if we all going to work together. Rather than criticizing each other, it's much more important to let's work with each other. I really want to, in the end, I just wanted to congratulate Nestle once again, and of course the great leadership we are looking forward. And of course I strongly believe the way the Capital Development Authority is working in Islamabad, we are looking forward for more and better work. And today I really feel so proud that I believe that, as if I talk from the Ministry of the Climate Change, or if I talk about from the executive side, I believe in the front row, all the champions, of course in the back as well, but in my front, all the champions are sitting over. If we talk about Mr. Vani, of course we know that he has done a tremendous work in GB, of course our brother Mr. Khurram, the way he worked as well, and of course Randhawa Sahib in Lahore as well, and here as well. And of course, last but of course not least, but the backbone of the ministry, the way she's working, and together, it's a family. Together we are all working. So I really want to acknowledge the great efforts of everyone. And not only that, and of course, Vakar, the way the Nestle and all the people are working, I wish and I hope that everyone will come with each other and learn from the best practices. May Allah bless you all to do more and more. And in last, I just wanted to say one thing, that please remember that when we are going to plant a small plant, it not just, we all need to take the responsibility of that we should not let the people cut. We should know that how we have to tackle, and not only that, we should guide to our children to come. Because I still remember in our childhood, we used to enjoy the summer, we used to enjoy, but now it's tough for the children. So I think collectively we can bring a great change, because I always say, and I believe, it's not I, it's not you, it's us, and together we can bring the good future.
Islamabad is a city that I've known since I was a kid. I've literally grown up here. It was a very green city. And we lost part of that glory during this process of urbanization, which we all understand is inevitable. We can't do without it in any case. But such initiatives are the one that's taking place now, starting with 1 million trees, and I would encourage that we go beyond million. Million should be the least that you should plant. And we must, along with the private sector, and I would welcome other initiatives of the similar nature, we must bring Islamabad back to what it was 40 years ago, for example. That's what I remember of Islamabad. It used to have just green clusters. Now we have a lot of roads, which are very welcome. Naturally, the population has risen all that much, and it's not going to decrease in any case. It's going to further increase, so we need to take measures accordingly. And as I understand, we're also doing this in the new sector development that we're taking place. In between, there were some sectors which were not developed as they should have been. So we're learning from our mistakes here, and we hope to do much better. The net zero part that's already been mentioned, this is something that we are all signatories to. We want to achieve it, and it is initiatives like this, because the government cannot do this alone. Unless we work together, we contribute, the children contribute, like Mr. Wani just said, they're the most important component of what we do within our country, because they're also our future.
Nestle, on the other hand, not only recognizes the problems of our economic growth in relation to the impact on our environment and its available resources, but springs into action and works on prevention rather than response. Nestle's global reforestation program furthers reforestation projects on a large scale. They aim to plant and grow 200 million trees by 2030 to remove 2 million tons of CO2. To put that into perspective, 1 ton of CO2 is equivalent to 400 liters of petroleum. One family home in Switzerland causes approximately 5 tons of CO2 per year. That means that the initiative neutralizes the carbon footprint of 400,000 households during 1 whole year. Nestle is planting 100,000 of the 200 million trees in our beautiful Islamabad in collaboration with the Capital Development Authority. I think that I may speak for all citizens and residents of Islamabad, thanking you in their name for this admirable initiative. The whole world is challenged by climate change. Swiss voters have approved a new law that seeks to accelerate the country's shift from fossil fuels to renewable energies and reach net zero emissions by 2050. So I hope that Nestle and the Swiss government will reach that goal together. Swiss people are proud of their forests that cover almost 1/3 of the country. We do not only enjoy many free time activities in them, but rely heavily on them to meet the target of zero emissions by 2050. The Swiss forest policy mandates the federal government to formulate provisions for the optimal coordination of the ecological, economic, and social demands on the forests. It aims to ensure their sustainable management and to create favorable conditions for an efficient and innovative forestry.
Work with Nestle, now here also in Islamabad. But what Dawa was suggesting, it's not give and take. My love is unilateral. So even if you do nothing for us, we will do something for you, and whatever you will ask, we will do it, because without students, you can't do a single thing. 100,000 without 300,000 students. So they are the foot soldiers. They have been doing this all their life in the last many years. So we are ready. It has to be more coordinated. It has to be followed up with by a good dashboard system so that we can keep track of what is happening on the ground. And the kids will, but we will create a green volunteer corps also, so that they should have some badges of ownership, and so that they can take pride of it, and some concept of giving them certificates for high performance in this initiative. That will be also part of it. So inshallah, we'll work together. It has to be done, and at the end of the day, these kids are going to be in a leading position in the next 10-15 years. So they have to be encouraged to be part of this green initiative.
It's really a pleasure to be here and part of this ceremony. Through this forum, I would like to urge to all the private sector that please come forward, join hands, and let's plant trees across Pakistan. And this is 100,000 for Islamabad is just the beginning. I'm sure CDA is very motivated, and in the leadership of Chairman CDA, we will take it to 1 million for Islamabad. Government of Pakistan started a project upscaling Green Pakistan, which continued for a few years, and now it's extended. With a total cost of the project is 70 billion. Pakistan has already planted 2.3 billion trees. The project was appreciated by World Economic Forum. Project is replicated by Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They have created a whole consortium of Middle Eastern and South Asian and African countries to replicate it across the globe, and they call it Green Middle East Initiative. So Pakistan has the vision to do these things. If we collectively work and get together, I think we can achieve a lot.
Kickstart on the directions of Prime Ministers, with the help of the private sector, with the help of the corporate sector, and the Nestle leading the target of 1 million trees in Islamabad in this season. So by this 100,000 trees, and we made it a point that these 100,000 trees by the Nestle should be earmarked with the help of a mobile app, should be helpful not only to protect the climate, but also it's a contribution towards this city. The green cover, whatever the green cover we can have in Islamabad, it's not only going to help in our environment, but it would also going to help for our future generation to have a more clean and more green environment, and a more clean and green and beautiful capital of the world. So we are contributing towards it, and I'm thankful to the Nestle, to the CEO and all the Nestle team. Secondly, I've made for some few points that how we can achieve the target of this 1 million trees in Islamabad. I was discussing with Sir Wani. He has some ideas that CDA should come up and collaborate on his educational initiatives. I said we are ready, but we will have a written MOU. We are ready to build your schools with the help of IT initiatives, but in return, we want your 265 students to plant at least 2 trees in Islamabad. And we will gauge them through their GIS based, and I would request your office to give them some numbers, like maybe 5 numbers, 10 numbers at the end of the year, so that we can have 530,000 trees in Islamabad in 1 year. So I have to achieve the target of 1 million trees.